I'm Julie Mason. It's a real pleasure to welcome back to the show Senator John Husted. He's a Republican of Ohio. Senator, great to have you back.
Great to be with you.
So one of the things you've pushed for during this shutdown is to make sure members of the military are paid. Are you satisfied with the outcome so far?
Well, so far, but it's only a temporary fix. I mean, long term, we need to pass a continuing resolution, but we will also be taking up a proposal from Senator Ron Johnson tomorrow that would permanently pay military and federal workers who work during shutdowns. So it would try to fix this going forward, that we would never have this kind of thing happen again. But I'm not optimistic we'll get the 60 votes for that either, but we'll continue to try to make sure that people who work and serve us during shutdowns get paid. And it's frustrating. We shouldn't be shutting the government down. We should be continuing to serve the American people.
No, I find myself very sympathetic to that proposed legislation that would just end shutdowns, basically.
Yeah, we should. This is nonsense. I mean, think about members of Congress. They fly to Washington every week from wherever they live across the country. They see the TSA agents when they check in. They rely on the air traffic controllers to make sure their flights are safe. They land in airports that are protected by, federal agents. They come to the Capitol and have the Capitol Police who provide security for them. All of these things, none of them are getting paid, while members of Congress continue to get paid, and that's one of the reasons I withheld my pay during this. We shouldn't do this. We shouldn't have government shutdowns. We should, and passing some of this legislation, I think, will take the leverage away from people who want to shut it down in the future.
You had mentioned that you didn't know if there were 60 votes for a continuation of military pay and future shutdowns. It's hard to imagine who might vote against that, but I guess people want to preserve their power going forward.
Yeah, because if you pass that, then you've taken away the leverage that gets used every time there's a government shutdown. Since 1977, there's only been 4 times that all of the appropriations bills were passed to avoid a complete or temporary government shutdown or a continuing resolution of some sort. So this clearly the process isn't working if that's what's gone on over the last 30, 40 years. And so we've got to start making some structural changes, we'll call them, to make sure that we take away the leverage from the people who want to shut down the government.
Indeed. It seemed yesterday, Senator, that there was some movement. Republicans were starting to talk about subsidies, talk among themselves, that maybe that could be something to take up after the government reopens. Where are you on that?
I think that's been the position all along. The Majority Leader John Thune has said, open up the government, we'll have these conversations. And remember, because the clean CR only keeps the government open until November the 21st. Then we'll have to do this all over again. So open up the government. Let's have these conversations. I'm all for having those. I'm all for having the conversations. Remember, this is about Obamacare enhanced subsidies that were put in place during the pandemic. They only were to last for 4 years, and then the Democrats passed them, and they expire at the end of this year. So they chose not to make them permanent. They were there for the pandemic, but now they're planning on going away, and they want to keep them. I understand Obamacare is broken, and we should talk about how we fix it. Maybe these enhanced subsidies in place for a while an overall overhaul is occurring is something that I would certainly be open to discussing. But in the end, we got to open the government back up first, and we've got to structurally fix the inflationary drivers in healthcare, because it's not affordable for consumers, but it's not affordable for the government either. It is one of the components that's bankrupting our country is the cost of healthcare.
So true. And looking at some of these numbers that people are throwing around, on social media, you see it in news stories and whatnot. I mean, if people can't afford the Affordable Care Act without government subsidies, the system's broken. Like, it is not affordable, and it's not health care.
It's not affordable even with the subsidies in some cases, because you're going to see across the board, even if the subsidies are put in place, you'll see 20% increases in people's premiums, some of that even higher. So the subsidies are just cushioning the blow for a broken system at the cost of $50 billion a year. And by the way, that's now, but at the rate of inflation, healthcare inflation is the number one driver of inflation in the 21st century. And so it's going to go up even faster because we've got to start reforming insurance markets. We've got to start creating more transparency so we know what prices are, so that markets can actually work and that we can drive down prices. All of those things, very complicated, not going to solve it in one day. That's why I think it's important we get the government open and begin some of these conversations so we can make progress on it.
So true. And I feel like Americans, they're okay with corporations making money. That's the capitalist system. But I think people feel victimized by the healthcare system.
I think they do. If you think of all the touch points, I counted one time, like prescription drugs. I think there are like 9 different points in which the prescription drug passes through somebody else's hands before that they mark up the cost of it before it actually gets to the patient. You can see that with many things. I mean, for example, people think government. They think Medicare, Medicaid. Do you know most of Medicare and Medicaid are run through private insurance companies before they actually end up getting in the hands? So everybody's taking a cut along the way. And technology has driven down the cost of all products in our society except for healthcare. Somehow in healthcare, new technologies only allow people to charge more and drive up the cost even more. All of these are huge issues that need structural reform.
Do you think that the Senate is up to considering that kind of structural reform?
I am. Only because only one person. I think many people are, but it's hard because it's hard, it's complicated, it's very difficult to explain. You have a lot of powerful interests who don't want to change things. You have drug companies, you have PBMs, you have hospitals, you have insurance companies, you have, I could go down the list of the people who will come through our offices and talk about how they're not. I mean, it's amazing, Julie. It's amazing. Healthcare is the number one driver of inflation in the 21st century, and everybody who comes to see me is not making money. I don't know how's that happen, right? Like everybody's not making money. They're all making money.
It's true. It's true.
And we don't. What we don't know is like, where is the money going? Because there's so little transparency in healthcare. Try to find out how much it cost the last time you were at the doctor or in the hospital. It's very difficult to even get your own information about what things cost, and then they don't tell you what they actually charge the insurance company actually reimburses, and how much it's just it's a black box that needs to be opened up and more transparent. And then when you do that, you can begin to do some shopping to say, hey, I get an MRI at the hospital. It charges me 5 times as much as it does at this outpatient center near my house. Maybe it's a little smarter for me to use that one.
Yeah, indeed. Well, really interesting conversation. And Senator, I just want to mention that you suspended your own paycheck during the shutdown. Yeah,
absolutely. If the people who work in federal government, who are serving, by the way, members of Congress all the time as we're trying to get the government back open, if they're not getting paid, we shouldn't get paid.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you back. Senator John Husted is a Republican of Ohio. Senator, I know you're busy. Thank you so much for your time today.
Julie, thank you.